Malsberg.
To head the review, how about someone other than the Attorney General whose department is so deeply involved? That makes no sense to me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Steve Malsberg Show. We are back live, and hope you had a very safe, fun Memorial Day weekend. I hope you took the time to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice and in preserving our freedom for our country, for our loved ones, for our children. And, you know, so many people don't understand. I heard so many people talk about, almost meshing it with Veterans Day and how we have to do more for our veterans. But it's Memorial Day. It's the one day, it used to be called Decoration Day, where you decorate the tombstones and the grave sites of those who perished in wars fighting for our country with flowers or whatever. But Memorial Day is for those who are no longer with us. You can't see them in the crowd. They're not there. You can't be talking to them. They're not alive anymore. They made the ultimate sacrifice, and I hope you took time out of your busy schedule on Memorial Day and over the weekend to share in some of that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we played a soundbite off the top of the show from Bob Schieffer. And Bob Schieffer weighed in and commented that he would like to see someone other than the Attorney General investigate the Attorney General. And that, of course, is that would make sense. Joining us now is Congressman Peter King from New York. He is former chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, where he is now a member, but he's the chair of the subcommittee on terrorism. Hello, Congressman. How are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
Good to talk to you. I just played a soundbite, which I want you to weigh in on. Bob Schieffer said it would be nice if someone other than the Attorney General were tabbed with investigating the Justice Department and the Attorney General. I mean, that would seem to make sense. On all the scandals here, why don't you start with let's start with Benghazi first of all, then we'll get to that. Darrell Issa has issued a subpoena today to the State Department. He wants all the documents on the Benghazi talking points. You know, the White House dumped 100 of them a few weeks ago, but there are hundreds more. Where are we on Benghazi, and do you feel that the White House or the State Department will comply with this?
No, Steve, the more we learn about Benghazi, the more we realize we have to learn. I've been at hearings in the Intelligence Committee. I've been to briefings. I've been talking to sources I have in the government. And the fact is, for instance, no one on the ground that night in Benghazi, no American on the ground that night said anything about a video. The one thing they all said was that it was an attack, a terrorist attack. Nobody said anything about a demonstration. And yet that was the narrative for 10 days afterwards. Where did that begin? How did it start? Who was behind it? I think it's important to know where was the president the night of the attack. That, to me, goes into the whole thought process, who put this theory together. But probably most important of all, going toward the future, is to why there was not more security at the consulate when they were told months before that there was a real chance of attack, a very real chance of attack, and there had been a number of attacks, and it was an al-Qaeda stronghold. And also, now, I'm still not certain whether or not the military could have gotten there that night or not. Let's assume that it couldn't have. In some ways, that's even more of an indictment. Why was the military not pre-positioned in such a dangerous zone that they could arrive on very short notice? If you know that an area is so dangerous, if you know there is not adequate security at the consulate itself, wouldn't you have military on standby within, if not a moment's notice, very quick notice? And yet it was not there. So you have all of that, and then you have, again, going forward with Benghazi, why that story continued. Was it totally politics about the video and the phony demonstration? So that's just part of what we have to know about Benghazi, and probably most importantly for the future. What other outposts are there around the world right now where we've been told more security is needed, where has not been provided, and what are we doing to protect our people at those outposts? All
right, now I want to get you in on this one. The House Judiciary Committee is investigating whether Eric Holder lied under oath on May 15th, talking about the surveillance of reporters. This according to several sources. The panel's looking at a statement that he made in a back and forth with Congressman Hank Johnson about whether the department could prosecute reporters under the Espionage Act of 1917. He said, quote, "In regard to potential prosecution of the press for the disclosure of material, this is not something I've ever been involved in, heard of, or would think would be wise policy." But now we know that Holder approved a search warrant labeling Fox News chief Washington correspondent James Rosen a co-conspirator in exactly that kind of investigation.
To me, that certainly has, on its face, that certainly could be perjury. And the reason I'm saying could be, I know there's always precise standards to meet. Having said that, that certainly warrants a full investigation as to whether or not perjury was committed there. I know that there's been other people over the years indicted for perjury or charged with perjury for testifying before Congress on a lot less evidence than that.
Okay, we're talking to Congressman Peter King. Let's move to Homeland Security. We saw what happened in Paris. Police now are searching for a bearded man they saw praying, or someone saw praying, before he attacked a soldier in a copycat attack, apparently, of what took place in London. We have the former MI5 head calling for people to spy on their neighbors, saying that the enemy is everywhere. And this, of course, comes on the heels of the bombing that we had here at the Boston Marathon, and the triple murders apparently committed by those two brothers, with another suspect who was killed by the FBI during questioning, where also they went for chopping off the heads. This is not a good time right now.
No, and yet, well, I don't know, Steve. The president said we're winding down the war against terror, so it must be getting better, right? No, let's be serious. In many ways, the world is more dangerous right now. In many ways, the terror threat is more dangerous now than it was on September 11th, 2001. And for the president to be saying what he did last Thursday, that somehow we can declare victory in this or we can phase it down, in many ways it's more dangerous. And what we saw in Boston, we've seen in London, we've seen in Paris, that is the face of al-Qaeda. That is the face of Islamic jihad. And unless we face up to it and realize that that's going to be here for a long time, until we stop it, until we kill it, until we make sure that we have the strongest possible defenses and we're going on offense. Because if we keep waiting, or if we wait for them to attack us and try to stop the attack, they're going to win, because they only have to get through once or twice. We have to stop them every time. We have to go out front. We have to be preemptive. We have to stop them before they get to us.
Congressman, in that speech, the president said that the Muslim community has always been ready to help, has always been ready to volunteer information, has always been actively involved in this fight and struggle against terrorism. You've held hearings on this. Is that what you found, or isn't it true that these so-called civil rights groups, which I say so-called, CARE and others, have constantly given the Muslim American community advice on how not to cooperate with law enforcement?
Now, there's too many people in the Muslim community who do not cooperate. Listen, the overwhelming majority of Muslims are good Americans. But the fact is, we've had case after case where there are plots coming from within the Muslim community where we have not gotten the assistance from the Muslim community. For instance, it's my understanding, and this is what I've been told by the law enforcement people, that, for instance, when the pictures of the two jihadists in Boston were put up on, it was Thursday afternoon, late Thursday afternoon, those photos were made known. Not one person in the mosque in Boston came forward to identify them. That's impossible to believe. With the whole world knowing about what happened, the whole world looking at those faces, that not one person in that mosque recognized either one of those brothers. So, and I can go on to other examples where it's the reason why police and law enforcement have to use so many undercovers, why they have to penetrate into the community, because we are not getting the level of cooperation that we should be getting.
All right, I got one more for you, and this speaks directly to Homeland Security, and it's not been made a big deal yet, but I think it should, and Charles Schumer weighed in on it, actually. First of all, there's a report today in the Washington Post talking about how a confidential report listing U.S. weapons system has been hacked by Chinese cyber spies. With that as a backdrop and all the other attacks they've made on our infrastructure and defense mechanisms and weapon systems, now we have Sprint. The world's the number 3 cell carrier is up for sale, and the Obama administration seems ready and poised to approve the sale to a Japanese company named SoftBank, which uses Chinese networking equipment. And there are many fears out there that this could open up, the door for more Chinese cyber spying and all kinds of interruptions of our cell phone networks, etc. Do you believe that there should be, as Chuck Schumer says, extreme caution used when reviewing the proposed acquisition of Sprint?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's no doubt at all. This is a new form of warfare. It's a warfare that we have to accept and we have to accept that it's there and then go after it. No, we can't allow corporate profits. Now, again, what's going to happen in this particular case, I can't say, but I can say that we cannot allow corporate profits to come first. We have to make sure that our national security, our Homeland Security is there, and we have to do all we can to make sure that we are protecting our people against this type of cyber invasion.
And of course, Dish Network wants to buy Sprint, and it behooves me as to why the Treasury Department or the FEC and the FCC and the rest of them would be leaning towards a Japanese company using, with questionable ties to a Chinese company when Dish Network wants to buy the thing in the first place.
Right.
All right.
No, I agree with you, but this again, all the American people, including myself, we have to realize the real impact of this cyber warfare that's going on. It's not something you see in front of you, but it's there, and it's happening, and it's deadly.
All right. Congressman, as always, thank you, sir. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care. Congressman Peter King.